Okay. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Tech and Tell podcast. I'm your host, Jacinta Fabi, also a product designer. And yeah, today we'll be talking about something that's been everywhere lately, especially for the product design community, and that's the topic of AI, especially AI in design workflows, right? So, depending on, who you ask these days, AI is either the most exciting thing that's happened or, for some people, they're still trying to like make a sense of it or understand what it is. And I think a lot of designers, somewhere in between, they are curious, as to and also bit overwhelmed and trying to figure out, what actually this means for their day-to-day work. But then there's not, enough clarity on how, designers can realistically use AI in their workflows. And yeah, this episode will basically help us understand that and also where AI supports your thinking, your process, and also your efficiency without necessarily, replacing our roles as product designers. And on this episode, I'm joined by another product designer who has been exploring how AI fits into the design process, more as a collaborator, actually. Welcome, Ruth. Really glad to have you here on the call today. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Jacinta.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just like dive into it. Let's start with introductions, right? So, can you give us a brief background about your journey into product design? Tell us a bit about yourself, and yeah, any other information you'd like to share with us.
Okay, so hi everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Ruth. I've been a product designer for about 6 years now. This year makes it my sixth year. Before product design, I was in the film industry where I worked as a screenwriter. I did a lot of things before pivoting to tech. Yeah. I started out working within teams, and over time, I have moved into doing more independent work, consulting, building my own things.
Mhm.
Um, I've worked on AI products, including an MVP at a company called Grassworld.ai now, where the work I contributed um, was really led to us. I think the company was able to nail about 3M USD, and that was before I left. Yeah, and then I've also been tinkering with AI. I built an experimental tool called Code Legal. I have like a doc to from design to doc plugin that is
Right.
currently live in the Figma community.
Mhm.
And right now, currently, I am running a flavored butter brand in Lagos called the Sunday Lada alongside my design consulting. So it's been like an interesting ride. So yeah, design is all around me and everything that I do. Because even the branding for my product, I had to do everything. I'm not a brand designer, but I had to piggyback off what I know as a product designer to work on that. So yeah, nice to
Wow.
meet you.
Wow, that seemed like quite a lot. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I'm just here thinking, how do you like juggle like all of these things? It seems like you're into a lot of things. Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing. It's really that's really inspirational. So like let's start from the basics, right, on the topic of AI and also how designers can integrate that into their workflows. But before we talk about workflow and tools, what do you think, what does it really mean, right, for designers to design with AI, like in practice, especially today with the wave and, the discussions of AI going on around. For designers, what do you think that means for us?
So one of the first things that we were seeing online circulate was
Mhm.
AI is going to take your job, AI is going to take your job. And I found it
Yeah.
quite interesting because that's like the fear that a lot of people are parading. And if you believe it is going to actually stifle you, you're not going to be able to grow.
Yeah.
First of all, my personal experience, the first time my boss came to say, oh, we're pivoting to I was like, what the hell is that? But I also saw it as an opportunity to learn. I didn't know anything about AI. This was in 2020, I think 2023.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't know anything. There were not a lot of materials out there for you to be able to learn.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had like access to some courses, and the
Hmm.
company also provided some reading materials. I was able to like learn, start reading, okay, what is AI? How am I going to be able to work with AI? And
Yeah.
that was also this of the things I was able to learn. I was able to design the MVP for that. But now in the world of today, we have like a lot of tools,
Hmm.
available to us. What does it mean working with AI as a product designer?
Hmm.
What that means is seeing AI as your design partner,
Hmm.
not as like a tool that is coming to replace you, right?
Yeah.
And for me personally, it has helped to streamline my workflow. I use AI for my research. I use AI to for the first draft of anything that I need to do. So more like the work that I'm supposed to do in like 10 hours, with the help of AI, I'm able to do that in three. So if I have like, as a designer, before you go on Figma to start designing, you have
Hmm.
like a ton of ideas. So if you're able to like use AI to say, okay, this is the idea I have, you're able to see, okay, this works, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. And it, kind of like just helps you achieve your goal, you
Hmm.
know, lesser time than you would on a normal day. So I think right now it's a tool or it's something that a lot of people should embrace.
Yeah.
And if you're curious, I also encourage everybody to be curious because one of the things, which is also why it feels like I do a lot of things. I'm curious.
Yeah.
And when I'm curious about anything, I like to pursue my curiosity. When Cursor came out, I didn't know anything about it. But in one day, I had a friend sit down with me. I think in 3 hours, I was able to learn how to use Cursor to build a plugin.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have an open mind. And then Lovable came out. I was like, okay, another tool. How can I use this? ChatGPT, Claude, any tool that comes out, I'm always like, how can I learn or use this tool to help me achieve my goal faster?
Hmm.
And I think that is what every designer should do. It's
Hmm.
just going to help you it's going to help you save time. It's going to
Yeah.
help you design better. It's going to help you become less stressed about your work. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think maybe as we progress, I'll like share more.
Yeah, also I think you mentioned how you use Cursor to build like a plugin. So this plugin, is it like open and maybe other ones you've built, is it like open source where other like something other designers can use? Maybe I could like attach a link to
Oh,
this. Yeah.
I'll share a link with you. Yeah, it's currently available in the Figma community. I think
Okay.
I don't remember the numbers, but the last time I checked, a lot of people used it or have been using it. So the plugin it's called Design to Doc. It was
Okay.
just meant to help designers streamline the whole documentation process.
Okay.
And sometimes when developers are working and designer is unavailable, it kind of like stalls the entire process for them. So
Yeah.
the idea was just use the plugin, pull out whatever information that you want to pull out,
Yeah.
the colors, the typography,
Yeah.
everything practically to the design. Yeah, so that's what
Oh,
the plugin was supposed to do.
okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's really awesome. I also
thank you.
like I want to try it myself. So maybe after the call, I would want to explore that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so with what you said, I think that like naturally leads to how, this AI is, changing things on a daily basis. So how do you think it's changing the day-to-day work of product designers, especially within our workflow, in terms of quality, speed, efficiency? How do you think that is changing versus, the traditional workflow that we've been used to?
Um, so again, with design, everything
Mhm.
starts with you doing a little bit of research or understanding the
Yeah.
problem statement.
Hmm.
Before AI, you have to think through, look through, maybe Google here, search through
Yeah.
different loads of articles. But right now, you can actually, if you get a brief from, whoever, you can just take that brief to AI and say, okay, look at this. But the difference now is some people, or the mistake I've seen a lot of people do is to solely rely on AI. AI is, supposed to help you, not replace your own thinking,
Mm.
right? Use AI, but don't take everything AI says,
Yeah.
right? So if you give it a prompt and it gives you an output, do not take that as word to word. Now, that's also where your taste comes in as a designer.
Hmm.
What's your taste? like what's your thinking? What do you think about this? Because sometimes AI hallucinates a lot. And if you don't read through what it has given
Yeah.
you, you end up making a lot of mistakes that will end up hurting you in the long run.
Mm.
Right. So right now with the traditional way we do things, with the AI to just help you, like, again, refine your thinking. Because AI will actually just help you. Okay, this is what you think. All right, how do I refine this to get me to closer to what I actually wanted to do? Right. But then the thing is, sometimes it can actually like stall your speed. If you
Mm-hmm.
already have an idea of what you want to do and you go to
Yeah.
AI, ChatGPT or Claude, they have, in as much as they are great, they can hallucinate a lot and actually just stall you. Because
Yeah.
I've experienced that and I'm like, you know what, let me just do this thing myself. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I do that thing and then go back to it, okay, this is what I'm talking about. It now says, oh, now I can help you better because I
Yeah.
understand what you're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also one of the things I think that we should be doing. Don't
Mm.
just abandon your thought process or say, okay,
Yeah. Hello, Ruth.
sorry, my power went out and my Wi-Fi got
Oh,
disconnected.
okay. No,
Yes.
no worries.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No
All
worries.
right.
Yeah.
So I would say that AI does not entirely replace the traditional way we do things.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing it does is to just help you, because all the processes that you used to do as a designer before now is
Yeah.
still very valid. The only thing is it helps you accelerate your process, right? And for designers right now, when is AI, at what point do you invite AI into your work? For
Mm-hmm.
me, I invite AI into my work in the beginning and in the middle because this is when I need to tell it all the ideas that I have and then see which one works and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I want to design something like, let me say, I want to design a landing page for a construction company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I already know all the things, or the layout or all the pages I want it to have. I go
Mm-hmm.
to a tool called Variant AI. I don't know if you know the tool.
Okay.
Yeah. I go to Variant AI. It's a tool that kind of like just helps you. It's very good. It gives you like, if you give it a prompt, it can give you like, let me say about five or six or seven or eight different layout or designs.
Okay.
So if you already have like an idea or if you don't know what you want it to look like, you can go to AI on Variant.ai and say, okay, this is what I want to do. And then it gives you all those designs to look through. And then you can actually just say, oh, this works, this doesn't work, right? You can
Yeah.
also click on one to find, okay, no, this is not what I want it to look like. And it just kind of like just helps you. Because now you have all the ideas. And sometimes all your ideas does not really translate when you're like designing in Figma. But
Mm-hmm.
with the help of things like, let me say, Cursor or Variant AI, you're able to say, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And then it helps you.
Yeah.
So inviting AI into my work in the beginning or in the middle, can I just help with research, with my writing, with all the other process like
Mm-hmm.
the problem statement, finding out the pinpoints or getting the first draft, even the high fidelity, even if I'm like very confused, if I'm working solo on a project and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what colors that I should use. I describe the feeling that I want my project to evoke.
Okay.
Then AI will now translate back to me, okay, these are the colors that I think would work. If I
Mm-hmm.
take that back to Figma and it works with what I'm working on, great. If it doesn't, I go back and I say, I don't think this works. How
Mm-hmm.
might we look at what's existing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's very detailed, and I think that's as even you've even answered the question up until like my next question, which I
oh,
was going to ask. Yeah, like at what stage in the design process do you think like AI is needed the most or brings the most value? And I think you mentioned like in terms of like inspiration, research, and things like that, right? And you've even mentioned like some tools that can be used in those aspects. But in what area do you think that the human factor should, still remain and always, remain as, product designers?
in every aspect. Again,
Okay.
this is like your taste as a product designer.
Mm-hmm.
AI does not have perspective.
Mm-hmm.
AI does not have your own taste. AI does
Yeah.
not have your in-depth understanding,
Mm-hmm.
what you're bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
AI is not sitting with you in your meetings with maybe your clients or
Yeah.
your PMs or your developers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is also where you come in. Because we have AI does not mean you should eliminate everything or your own thinking and understanding.
Yeah.
Again, AI is only supposed to help you, not replace you. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you're inviting it into your workflow, don't entirely rely on everything that it gives you.
Mm-hmm.
So if as a product designer you solely rely on AI and unable to make your own decisions, then that's a problem.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes. At every point in time, you should be able to say, okay, this works, this doesn't work,
Hmm.
or this is what I think. It's not everything that AI gives me that I go along with. No, because I'm
Yeah.
like sometimes I'm able to like call the bluff to say, okay, this you're hallucinating right now, and this does not work.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So, and if you have the discerning, as a designer, you're supposed to have like the discerning spirit. You're supposed to know what works, what doesn't work, when to use ABC,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah, at every point in time, you should rely on all your own understanding and your own thinking and trust that whatever vision you have, regardless of what AI says, is the
Mm-hmm.
thing. Also, I've seen a lot of people, say things like, the final designs that I sent to my client or I sent to, let me say, my PM, they
Mm-hmm.
fed it back to AI and AI said, oh, this needs ABC. That's also where this is also another problem we face as designers. If you employ me or if you give me your money to help for me to design something for you, you should be able to trust me.
Yeah.
But because of AI, that trust is missing where
Mm-hmm.
my final output of what I think should work for you, you feed
Mm-hmm.
it back to AI, and then AI tells you, oh, this does not work, this does not work, this. AI does not have the context I have. You
Hmm.
don't have the picture that I had when I was designing this thing. Even
Yeah.
if you gave me like the brief and I went ahead, a lot of things goes into designing a full product for
Hmm.
a
True.
client, or even if it's just a landing page. So if you feed that back into AI, of course, AI is going to see a lot of things because you don't have the full context. And
Yeah.
then the client will not go back to you to say, oh, this does not work. And you're like, come on. So it's just that right now, it's also one of the risks of AI in our
Mm-hmm.
work as product designers. Is
Mm-hmm.
now clients don't trust us as they used to before because they feel like they can just go to AI and AI will do it. But right now, even if you go to AI, AI gives you anything and you say, okay, this is the final stuff. As a designer or even as an individual, you're able to tell apart what AI produced and what
Mm-hmm.
somebody actually designed. So do you want everybody to say, "Oh, this was vibe coded," or do you want somebody to say, "Oh, actually, this looks good"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of things you said, and also especially on the client's part, because I feel like AI is always going to have something to say. It's always going to refine, regardless, always finding some.
Always. And it's
So,
also remember that before AI, as traditional designers, this
hmm,
thing where you're a perfectionist, you always want to fine tune, you always want to
yeah,
tweak. Oh, I don't like the color, maybe. Mm-mm. So the thing is, know when to stop. Even
yeah,
clients need to know when not to go back to AI.
mm-hmm,
As individuals, know when not to use AI, know when to use AI. So
mm,
that's one of the things that we need to, yeah, know
yeah,
when to trust yourself, be discerning.
yeah. And yeah, so still on the topic of like keeping, the human in like using AI in our workflows and still keeping like the human intuition like in place. And I know that there are some people, maybe a lot of designers that leave AI to do like all the work and they've gotten so comfortable with AI that they're not putting in their own beats, their own efforts because AI can, do everything in seconds and they are done. And and I believe that there is a responsibility that comes with even using AI in design, right? Especially because we as designers we design, our design actually impacts real users and people actually using these products that we're designing. What do you think are some of like the ethical considerations that we as designers should keep in mind when we're using AI in our workflows?
Um, I would say that again, it takes me back to what I earlier said about you're the person who has like the full context, you know who you're designing for.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that you feed AI does not understand all the endpoints or all the user flows end to
Yeah.
end. Even if I say AI design this for me, AI is just going to give me one page. AI is not going to give me the entire full picture of what I need to do. And
Yeah.
if you take that and you give it to your client now, and if they ask you, oh, what happens when I click B? And you're like, and that's because you relied only on your AI, and AI wasn't able to give you all the things that you need. So
Yeah.
even the fact that you have that, you should be able to say, okay, I'm designing for real users. This is the entire user flow
Mm-hmm.
for this product,
Mm-hmm.
right? These are all the endpoints that I need to consider. Even if you want to use AI to do that, make sure
Mm-hmm.
all of those endpoints are being considered.
Yeah.
Make sure that you also even test out all of these, like the whole user testing that we do,
Mm-hmm.
the prototyping, right? Use
Yeah.
it yourself before you say pass it on to maybe your PM or your client if you're working solo, right? At every point in time,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the fact that AI has made it easier for us. In as much as we say that okay, we can't fully trust AI, you can actually still trust AI in some cases because it's able to like if I go to Cursor right now, if I go to what's it called? Lovable,
Yeah.
right? And say, oh, I want to build this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I want it to do ABC, design that. I've actually had instances where I just give it a prompt. I want you to do this. I want the button to do this, da, 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 da. And I
Mm-hmm.
described it and we went to town. And I was amazed. I was like, okay, the only thing I just needed to do was just to like make it not look because even if you put in anything into AI, the
Mm-hmm.
outlook that it gives you is going to, yeah, feel like the normal. If you see a side that is vibe coded, you would know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what you know is just like your taste comes back in into this for you to now like, okay, refine this,
Mm-hmm.
refine that, and then maybe add your um design system, all
Mm-hmm.
of that. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that answers the question, but yeah.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah.
so I'm trying to like think. But if I have
Okay.
something more, yeah, I would add to that as we progress. Yeah.
Okay, all right, no worries. Yeah, thank you for that. And also, in terms of skills, what are some of the skills that you think we as product designers should start building, in order for us to stay relevant in, this AI-driven world? Because you go on LinkedIn, it's like, okay, everybody's learning this and they're posting, almost every week or almost every day, and it can seem to like some designers that they are, missing out, or some are having that fear of like missing out. So maybe they can hear from you now and okay, what are some of the skills that they can start leveraging now to also be part of the trend or the conversation around AI?
Mm. Okay, before we get into the skills,
Hmm.
I mean, FOMO is real.
Yeah,
I would say FOMO is real, but if you always stay on top of the trends, if
yeah,
you're exploring these tools, if you're not like overwhelmed by tomorrow now, you can wake up and they say, oh, we've released 20 tools. Don't let that get to you. Just say, okay, how can I use this thing to my advantage?
hmm.
And that's one of the problems. A lot of people are like, oh my God, there's this, there's that. Which one do I focus on? You can actually
Yeah,
just use all of them. Or you can still use the one that, again, all of these things are, it introduces a fear tactic that we do not need. And
yeah,
as somebody who has walked through, I like psychology, so there's just like a little bit of this and that. I read a lot
yeah.
and I'm very aware.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know when to not let all of these things get to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I hear, oh, there's this tool, there's that tool, you can hear your friend say, oh, I learned. I go back to my Claude, my ChatGPT or my Cursor. You understand? Do
Mm-hmm.
not get overwhelmed. Don't let all these new tools phase you out. But
Mm-hmm.
the skills that you need, first thing that you need, writing.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't know how to write,
Okay.
you can use the help of AI. Okay, teach me how to write. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube, but you
Yeah.
need to know how to write because writing kind of like just helps you, even when you need to prompt your AI,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know how to write. You need to know how to say the things you want to say for the AI to understand or for people to understand. Even as a product designer, sometimes um, what makes you a product designer and not just a UI UX designer is because you're seeing like the full picture. You're able to, step in and write your product requirements if your PM is not available, right?
Yeah.
So you need to know how to do all of these things. So writing is one of the skills that you need to cultivate. And then now with the rise of AI, prompting. Prompting is a skill a lot of people do not have.
Hmm.
Prompting is actually what sets you apart. If I say, okay, if somebody comes right now, gives me and gives some person B the same brief and say, okay, go to town. If I go to Claude, I know what to say to Claude to give me the result. Somebody who has not built their prompting skill can just maybe take that brief like that, or we're going to get different outputs.
Yeah.
So how do you like get started with prompting? Again, use the AI available to you. Use your ChatGPT, use your Claude. How can I get started on prompting? How do I say ABC? Again, if you want to design a website for a construction worker, just say, "Hi, I want to design so and so." Give it as much context. The more
Mm,
context you give for AI, the more it's able to give you what you need. If you just say, "I want to design a website," it can give you anything, doesn't understand the content. But if you say, "I
yeah,
want to design a website for a health practitioner who has 12 years experience, who is an OBGN, yeah, who has done ABCD
yeah,
and is looking to do XYZ," and you say, "The colors I want you to consider are so so and so and so. This person is this. She's also a speaker. She's this, is that," and you give all that context to AI. The result is going to give you is going to be different from if somebody just goes and say, "I want to design a website for a health practitioner."
mm-hmm,
Prompting,
mm-hmm,
context, writing.
yeah,
So all of these things are like the first things that you need to cultivate if you want to, in this age, practically even as an individual, you need to know how to write, you need to know how to prompt, you need to know how to get people to give you the answers that you
mm-hmm,
need at the end of the day. Then another thing I would say is taste.
okay,
Do you have taste? Right?
yeah,
And this is also what now sets all our designs apart
yeah,
because even if I go to AI and you're able to like prompt well, whatever it is that your AI gives you or anybody gives you, you have to be able to say, "Oh, this is not quite right."
mm,
Taste. Do you have what it takes to make it look like what people are praising on
mm,
Twitter or what
mm,
people are seeing or thumbs up in on LinkedIn?
yeah,
What is your own personal taste as a designer? If somebody says, "Okay, this is it," and you're like, "Oh no, this does not look quite right," how are you able to say, "Okay, this, how do you want it to look?" If you don't already know how you want it, if you don't have taste, you're unable to say, "This is how I want this to be better,"
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
even if you're able to write and say, "Okay, AI did this for me, I want you to do this for me."
mm-hmm,
If you're unable to have, if you don't have taste, you're
mm-hmm,
not going to be able to refine that to look however it is that it will look that will make people applaud it when you publish it.
mm,
Um, is there anything else? Um, Not necessarily.
yeah,
I think, yeah, that's it. And then be curious, please. I urge everybody to be curious. These tools, I don't know how to. I don't have front end skills, right? AI has made it easier for me to be able to publish a site. And that's because I embraced all of these things. I can go to Coursera, I can go to any tool,
mm-hmm,
experiment. I was on the free one for a while. If you have any free $20, or you can have a friend that has money, beg them, say, "Oh, pay for this for me." Even if it's just for 1 month. Even Figma Make, I'm like, I don't want to use my money to pay. Is there any of my friend who has a paid subscription?
yeah,
I have a friend who subscribed to almost any tool out there. And what I use is I like to utilize my network a lot. I go to
yeah,
my friend, "Oh, which one did you pay for today? Can I have access?" He gives
yeah,
me access. I go to town.
mm,
Everybody should do that. Before I got to pay for Costa with my own money, I was on the free one every day. So what I used to do is if I have like an idea that I want to um just see if it works. I'll go
mm-hmm,
to Koso. It gives you, I don't remember how many credits it gives you in a day. So I like to do it in the evening. So if I prompt it the first, before it runs out, I know that the next day, which is it resets at 000
yeah,
o'clock, yeah, I continue the next day. And
yeah,
then if it stops at a certain place, do you know what I'll do? I'll go
mm,
to Lovable and continue. Or I start with Lovable and where it stops, if I run out of my credits, at some point, I had two accounts on Live. Maybe you shouldn't do this. I had two accounts. But again,
yeah,
if I have an idea, I just want to see. Even if I just
mm,
want to see, I just want to get out there. And this
mm-hmm,
is how you get better as a designer by doing. You just need to keep doing. You just need to
mm-hmm,
keep experimenting with these tools.
yeah,
And that's how you get better at either writing or just keep doing.
mm-hmm.
Like it says, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think if you also like right from the start, you've like been mentioning like a lot of tools. We have like I think just less than 7 minutes, but I feel
Okay.
like this won't be like a fulfilled session if you don't give us like, some tools, just maybe a rundown of some AI tools that, designers can use, in their workflows, maybe from ideation up until, testing and yeah. So,
I use Gemini, I use
okay.
ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use them for research, I use them to write my product requirement documents, I use them for my first draft of anything. I use
Yeah.
Cursor if I have like an idea for a pet project, I use Cursor
Mhm.
to build it out and then use Vessel to publish. I even had to learn how to use GitHub. Everything looks so foreign. So your
Yeah.
cursor, there's Lovable, Variant AI. These are
Hmm.
like the apps that I use, but there are lots of others out there
Hmm.
that I don't really know them, but I can actually just compile them that my friends use and send to
Hmm.
you. But these are like the ones that I use day to day. So these are like on my radar. If you open
Hmm.
my system, you're going to see Cursor open, you're going to see Claude,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Gemini. And then again, if you're sorry, I don't know if we have so much time, but
Yeah.
what I like to do is if I'm researching something and I
Hmm.
have a brief and I feed it to maybe ChatGPT, I utilize what people do is they stop at one or they just focus on one. No, I utilize three of them. I can feed the three AI the same prompt and I say, okay, this is it. And then
Mm.
whatever output you give me, I
Mm.
refine it and then I feed it back to them. Or I
Yeah.
can take what Gemini says and give it to Claude. What do you think about this? Take what Claude says, give it to ChatGPT. What do you think
Yeah.
about this? So that way, three of them are working for me. I get this
Mm.
answer, that answer, that answer, fine tune it, edit it, put it back together, give it back to them, give me something.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is practically how to use it to work.
Yeah.
Just use all of them.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. So like finally, if you were to like give like a piece of advice to, other product designers out there, maybe those that are just, starting out um to use AI, or they feel overwhelmed or skeptical about AI, what advice would you give to them?
I would say, first of all, trust yourself.
Mhm.
Don't allow fear get to you or AI is going to replace you. Don't allow any of that get to you. Experiment,
Mhm.
right? Don't start with the exciting stuff everybody is doing. Don't do what everybody is doing, right?
Mhm.
Pick out a problem, try to solve it for yourself. If you had an idea, or go on Reddit, use ChatGPT, say,
Mhm.
go to Reddit, find a problem for me to solve, right? Just get started.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, you have a lot of use your network, people in your network that are already product designers. If you design something and you need somebody to give you an answer, just reach out to somebody on LinkedIn or Twitter or tag them and say, hey, can you, look at this for me? So use your network, use all the tools you have access to, go on YouTube, stay curious, keep learning. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruth. This has been a very, very insightful conversation. Really,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I think one key takeaway is that, AI isn't something that designers need to fear or blindly follow. Like it's something to understand and also use intentionally, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, tools will always evolve, right? But how we, think, how we solve problems, and also how we design experiences, that is still at the core of what we do, right? Thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much, Gil, for sharing your thoughts.
You're
Uh,
welcome. Happy to be here. Thanks
yeah.
for having me.
All right. And yeah, so if you're listening, I hope this helped you, see AI a bit more clearly. Hope there's no pressure. And I hope you see it as a tool that you can, explore on your own at your own, pace, just like how Ruth has been, exploring all of these AI tools and see which gives her the best output and which works for her best, right? So yeah, if you found this helpful, please feel free to share it with, another designer that you know. And yeah, see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.